We've got some breaking news today. New South Wales Health has confirmed there's been one new local COVID case in the eastern suburbs in Sydney, with a number of venues now on alert. Charlotte Mortlock is chasing this story for us in Bondi. Charlotte, what other details, what more can you tell us?
Well, Kieran, this is very much a developing story, but at the moment authorities have confirmed a man in his 60s have tested positive for the disease. He was a local around this area in Bondi. He did a saliva test yesterday and that came back positive today, so it will be counted in tomorrow's numbers. Now, good news, or at least a silver lining to this particular case, Kieran, it is important to note that he was working as a driver transporting international flight crews. So you would hope that that will be the source of this outbreak, and we haven't seen COVID spreading within the community undetected. But of course, urgent genome sequencing testing is underway. But for the moment, a number of exposure sites have been listed. All of that information can be found on the New South Wales Health website, but I'll run through them at the moment as this information comes into the newsroom. A screening of The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard at Event Cinemas in Bondi Junction on Sunday, June 13. The Bell Cafe in Vaucluse on Friday, June 11. Also the 12th, 13th and the 15th. Sourdough Bakers in Bondi Junction on Friday, June 11. David Jones Bondi Junction on Saturday, June 12. Maya Bondi Junction, Saturday, June 12. Washoku Japanese Restaurant in Vaucluse on Saturday, June 12. Also on June 15. And Rocco's Vaucluse on Monday, June 14. Celeste Catering, Macquarie Park Cemetery on the 15th of June. Now, obviously, this is a big concern for everyone in the community in New South Wales. The last outbreak that we did have was back at the start of last month, and that was also a man in the eastern suburbs. Here in Bondi, we are at the main testing clinic at the beach here, and at the moment it is pretty quiet, but you will expect that numbers will increase here and they'll be inundated with people coming forward for testing as news gets out about this new case in the coming hours. As I said, Kieran, we are expecting to see a lot more people coming out to these testing sites. We're also expecting to see more exposure sites being added to that list, so definitely keep an eye on it.
Charlotte, yeah, we'll stay in touch. Thank you for that. Let's go to Melbourne now. Julia Bradley is with us. And Julia, some good news in terms of easing restrictions at least.
Kieran, that's right. We heard from our state government today that restrictions are going to ease further as of 11:59 p.m. tomorrow. So for those in Melbourne, that means that the 25-kilometre travel limit will be removed, meaning that you will be able to travel interstate if other states allow you to. When it comes to the public gathering limit, that will be raised to 20, private gatherings to 2, and masks will only be needed indoors. Also, good news, Kieran, gyms are set to reopen. It's been a difficult couple of weeks for gym owners. Restaurants and cafes can open to a maximum of 300 patrons for a seated service. Smaller venues, 25 people before that 1 per 4 square metre rule applies. For offices, 50% capacity is allowed. 75 people can attend a funeral and 20 a wedding. And when it comes to the restrictions that are being eased in our regional areas, 50 people allowed to gather publicly, 5 private, 300 seated patrons are allowed in hospitality venues, and 75% capacity in office spaces there. But there is a big change on the way as well, Kieran, for any Melburnians who want to make the most of the ski season and head to a ski resort. They're going to have to return a negative COVID result. They have to get a test up to 72 hours before they set off.
The industry has to be protected. We need to make sure that there are no cases that go up on the mountain, even though the number in Metro Melbourne may well be tiny. A single case who's infectious up on the mountain would be a potential super spreading event.
And Julia, not a lot of good news just yet for footy fans wanting to get back to the game.
Kieran, certainly not the announcement that footy fans were hoping for today. A hard no from the state government when it comes to allowing spectators at stadiums. For now, that's off the table. That decision, though, will be reviewed again in 7 days. There is some good news, though, some relief, and that is for the clash between the Geelong Cats and the Bulldogs this coming Friday. That's a game that's going to be played in the regions. That's going to go ahead with spectators. 7,000 people will be able to watch that game, which is about 20% capacity of that stadium. But the catch is that tickets will only be sold to members and only people from that area and surrounding areas.
I'm hoping that we can get footy back to Melbourne as soon as possible. I don't want it to be deferred any longer than it has to be, but I don't want us to be in the situation again where there might be cases in the community going to the football with this Kappa variant or Delta variant in particular.
So, Kieran, still a pretty conservative approach from the government when it comes to the easing of COVID restrictions.